Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited that we're going to do this, and my clicker's not working. Well, this is my panel, and I am really excited about the panel. No, it didn't. There we go. Fantastic. I got click happy. Remember the days in the internet when we started getting click happy because it was spinning on us? Yes. So the four panelists we have here are excellent. I've heard their stories. I've known them, most of them for a while, actually. So we have Dave, he goes by Dave, and we have David up there. We have John Ciora, Peggy McGee, and Eliza Wiseman. And I'm going to read each of their bios before they actually come up. But what great stories I think you're going to enjoy and glean from them. So Dave is with actually the Managing Director of People Initiatives with Catalyst Connection. And in his position as an organizational development consultant, he specializes in helping manufacturers optimize employees through hiring, development, and retention best practices. With a training background in industrial organizational psychology, he specializes in employee selection, succession planning, job analysis, employee engagement analysis, leadership training, and compensation studies. Really the heart of our people. I love that. Before joining Catalyst Connection in 2007, he spent 6 years as a senior consultant at a workforce development firm, serving educational institutions, joint union management committees, economic development organizations, and government agencies. He has a BA in psychology from Gannon University and an MS in industrial organizational psychology from the University of Baltimore. He's certified in DDI leadership facilitator and alumnus of Leadership Pittsburgh Leadership Development Initiative. What a mouthful. Dave, I'm excited for you to share. Please come up.
Great. Thanks, Denise. So for those of you that were at the Pirate game last night, I was the guy with the 11-year-old Dodgers fan who just so happens to live 6 miles away from the stadium, and his dad bleeds black and gold. So he's also a Patriots fan and a Tom Brady fan, so that's an interesting thing going on. But on the way home, he said, Dad, he goes, what exactly do you do for work? Now, I've told him before, but I guess it didn't resonate. And I said, Luca, I try to help people have a better drive home, a good drive home. And he's like, what? I said, well, how do you, when you go to school and you're on the school bus coming home, how do you know you had a good day? And he said, well, I don't know. He said, I get along with my friends. I do well in school. My teacher, gives me feedback. The principal says hello. And I said, well, that's exactly what I try to do with employees who work for manufacturers. And I said, your school has a good reputation. And people, when they move to Pittsburgh or they move locations, they want to come to your school because it has a great reputation. And so that's what I also do with companies to help them create a positive reputation in the local labor market so that they can attract top talent. And it started to resonate with him a little bit. So as Denise said, I'm the Managing Director of Organizational Development at Catalyst Connection. We're part of the Manufacturing Extension Partnership. We're a part of a national network of organizations that help small, medium-sized manufacturers. There's actually 60 of them across the country, all focused on providing technical services to small, medium-sized manufacturers. There's one in each state across the country. There's actually 7 in Pennsylvania. You might not recognize Manufacturing Extension Partnership. You might recognize the name of that organization or that center within your local community. For example, we're Catalyst Connection. The one in Georgia is, I think, Georgia Tech MEP. I think it's affiliated with the university. One in Cleveland is called Magnet. So you might be more familiar with the actual names of the MEP Center. But really, at the heart of it, we're helping them to strive and to optimize their businesses. And lately, the number one challenge is finding and attracting talent and retaining great talent. So how many fishermen are in the room? All right, great. So a bunch of fishermen, so you're going to help me answer this question. What does it take to catch a fish? Dynamite. The right bait. The line, probably a good location. Right? Right. Patience. So if you don't catch a fish, do you blame the fish? Sometimes, right? Or if we don't catch a fish that time out, what do? We maybe try new bait, new location, new line. And so we talk to manufacturers, That's what we're using. So we had a conference last week in Pittsburgh, and our keynote speaker, Chris Sarznik, that was his. He said, don't blame the fish. So if you can't find people, don't blame the people. Change the way you're doing things to attract talent. Is it your brand that needs to be re-energized or retooled? What is the reputation that you have in the local labor market? And as an MEP center, that's what we strive to do. We strive to help companies treat their people well so that they have a better ride home at night and that they tell their friends and their family in the local labor market that it's a great place to work. So a couple of key things when we think about leadership, because this talk is based on leadership, but leadership drives the organization, right? People drive the organization. Yeah, you could have the best process in place, right? John's going to talk about, he's a manufacturer, and my other colleagues on the stage are manufacturers. You can have the best process in place, but if you don't have the best people to work within that process, things fall apart. So the way I think about at a high level, what makes a place a great place to work, it's three things. One, people have to have a supportive boss. Two, they have to have career advancement opportunities that are articulated, that are visible, there's criteria built into it, and people have to have feedback, right? You have to know where you stand and how the contributions that you make every day make a difference. And I would imagine most of us, if one of those three aren't being satisfied with our employer, we kind of just stick it out, right? What's happening though is with the emerging workforce, they're making those three things a condition of employment. And if they're not being satisfied with a supportive boss, real career advancement opportunities, just not in the interview, hey, there's opportunity for growth here, and then 5 years later, they're in the same job, and not getting feedback, they get a new job at the swipe of a finger, right? We were talking earlier about the gig economy. That is a real thing. They'll just go out and find multiple jobs. My brother-in-law is one of them. He works in the gig economy, he does several podcasts. He does, he works for an app that brings on actual gigs but that's his job, and he makes a good living of it, but he has the flexibility to do so. And so, that's what we try to do. We try to ensure the companies are really focused on that. And when they do it well, they promote it to the world. They tell the world. Because a lot of companies that we work with do treat their people well, right? They have great rides home, but nobody knows about it. I often say that machine shops, I swear that they all go to the same web developer for their website because they all look the same. It's like, here's all of our equipment, here's what we can make, here's where we're located. And some of those machine shops are great employers. They really, truly value their employees, but it never comes across in their website. The job description is a copy and paste of the job post, or the job posting is a copy and paste of the job description, and they all look the same. So how do you differentiate yourself when you're focused on those people-centric strategies and communicate it to the world? So, all kinds of research out here that talks about why this is also important, but it all starts with leadership, right? So without formal leadership programs, people are conditioned to behave in a way that they were treated. So if my boss sucks, when I become a boss, I'm probably going to suck without any leadership training. So these formal programs, along with coaching and accountability within this learning process, to prepare leaders to be great, to support their people, to be that supportive boss, to help those people have a better drive home. So the way we look at this at Catalyst through formal leadership development is starting with competency models. So determining what are those key behaviors that are important for a leader within that organization. So it gives us also the ability to customize. It's just not pulling something off the shelf, saying this is what we think leadership is, but this is exactly what it's for, how it looks like within our organization. We use assessments, so 360 assessments, to provide whether it's high potentials or leaders with feedback from the people that they serve within the organization, sometimes outside of the organization, so that they know what opportunities there are for development. We use personalities assessment like DISC, so providing data into this to help make data-informed decisions on what the curriculum looks like. And then the learning itself, so whether it's instruction-led facilitation or self-paced online learning. That second bullet point there, skills reinforcement and coaching, I think is what really helps with sustainability of the skills that are being taught. So when I first started at Catalyst 17 years ago, we would lead some programs, some leadership programs, and kind of walk away, and 6 months later we go back and people forgot what they learned. So now we're integrating in these skills reinforcement sessions. So they participate in a class, and then a week or two later, they have to meet one-on-one with the instructor and talk about how they use the skill, what challenges they face, what opportunities still are present. And through those interactions, it creates some learning tension in the process so that they know they have to apply those skills after the training, or else they're coming unprepared. And then, of course, the practical application of those skills. So the advantages of creating leadership programs and embracing a learning mindset, right? Creating a learning organization is you can promote it. Right? I'm working with a small organization right now. They're a machine shop. They wanted to create career pathways. And it was just, the entry job was laborer, the next job was machinist, and that was it. So we reformulated the career pathway so you come in as a machinist apprentice, because the word apprentice just, you think learning, you think growth, as opposed to labor. And then you have milestones get from machinist 1 to 2 to 3 with objective measures within each of those levels to help people learn and grow and earn more. So then we promote that again to the world, right? We're a learning organization. This is our career pathway. This is the training that aligns with it. This is the kind of feedback you're going to get. Obviously, improved organizational performance. The better the leaders, the better the people, the better ride homes they're going to have, the more motivated they are going to be to show up to work the next day and be productive. And then succession planning and future readiness. So once you have these programs built in, you have continuity within your leadership so that you're motivating high potentials to learn and earn and grow, and of course, fostering growth. So this is the map of the MEP network. Like I said in the beginning of the talk, each state in the country has an MEP center. I encourage you to reach out if you haven't already. It's a private-public partnership. We're funded through the Department of Commerce at the federal level, and then at the state level, there might be some state funding involved or some university-based funding involved. But it's a great program. Thank you for the opportunity. Hopefully your people that report to you are having great rides home, and I appreciate the opportunity. So thank you very much. Oh, look at that.
Thank you, Dave. So appreciate that. And we are actually partner with the MEP centers across the country. So definitely connect with us. We're happy to make those connections for you. I have colleagues in the audience that actually work with them on a daily basis. And we're happy to connect you so that you can meet the Dave Rays in your area. So we want to introduce John Ciora. Oh my goodness, did I have a great conversation with John before we started. John and I were out in the lobby, and I was feeling it, John. I was feeling it. We were talking the same language, and we could have been out there for what, 2 hours, 3 hours? I mean, it was just, yes, yes. And I hear this, and he goes, and we do this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm very excited for you to hear from John. He's the Director of Operations at Schroeder Industries. And as the Director of Operations, he is actually in Leetsdale. Did I say that right? All righty, fantastic. And he brings over 23 years of invaluable experience and a lot of knowledge. I love it. Leadership, lean manufacturing, business growth strategies. Holds a bachelor's degree in electromechanical engineering from Penn State, and he combines a robust technical foundation with exceptional leadership skills. At Schroeder Industry, he leads by examples. He fosters teamwork through actions that inspire, and it's grounded in trust, respect, and credibility. John emphasizes clear communication to ensure alignment and empower every team member to contribute their best. So please help me welcome John to come up and share.
Of course, that's going to fall off.
Is it? All right.
It's okay. Gotcha. Thank you. Oop, I'm sorry. Well, thank you, everybody. My name is John Ciora. I'm the Director of Operations at Schroeder Industries. We have 2 facilities, one in Leetsdale, Pennsylvania, which is our headquarters, and one in Cumberland, Maryland. So, in a nutshell, we design, manufacture, assemble, and test filters and filter systems for hydraulics and fuels. Okay, we're in military, mining, agriculture, energy production. Been around for 79 years. Gus Schroeder is the owner. His dad was the previous owner, then his grandfather was the owner before that. So it's a long line of Schroeders. We are owned by Hydak Corporation in Germany, but they kept our name because the Schroeder Industries name in the market is far superior with our filters and filter systems in the world. So Leetsdale, We have 165 teammates. We use teammates, we don't use employees. I'll go over that in a little bit. And Cumberland, Maryland, we have 81 teammates for a total of 246 people. 3 shifts, Sunday PM through Friday PM. So the short and sweet of what we're saying today is, as we all know, hiring and retaining employees is the most critical aspect of most businesses today. COVID has changed the world, so what do we do? Long and short, Dave really touched on leadership. People stay at companies because of leadership. People leave companies because of leadership. And like Dave said, if you don't like the job, you can have a different job tomorrow. And we've seen that. So there's a lot of different things that you can do. There's a lot of different programs that you can put your employees through. So 2 major programs that we use is Catalyst Connections and the Navy Pipeline project. The overall goal is to create a cohesive leadership team. And that goes all the way from the frontline supervisors to the program managers, to the managers, to the senior managers, okay? If we're not all aligned and we're not all marching to the same goal, what are the people on the floor and what are the actual teammates behind their desks? What do they think we're doing? If there's a lot of confusion and there's a lot of unknowns, people kind of just do what they want to do, and there's no focus on exactly what they're supposed to do. So, we always say employees are our number 1 asset, right? And if you don't say that, you probably should start saying that, because that is today's culture. The company culture is the employees make your company work. Okay, so what do we do to show that all the teammates in the company are doing a good job, right? We have maybe a pizza party if we hit a goal. We have donuts, we give them a sweatshirt or a t-shirt. You see memes on social media today that say, wow, we hit our $1 million goal. Thank God we had a pizza party for all my hard work. They make fun of what we do, right? So what do we need to do? You need to train your leaders, you need to train your frontline leaders to engage the employees, to become team members that actually care about your business. It's very hard in today's society. Right? So like Dave was saying, do you have a good ride home? Do you have a good, how do you know that that you're doing a good job to make sure that your team is focused on what you need to do? So there's a bunch of different things that Schroeder Industries does. We work with Catalyst Connection, Success and Lean Training. We put the entire shop through that. So when I started 10 years ago at Schroeder, I started this training with Dave, and every single person went through Lean and Success. So even though people had different backgrounds in Lean and Success, we all started from the same marching point, and we all started marching forward. So we're all talking the same language. It's all the same information. So whenever we have meetings and we talk about what we need to do, everybody's on the same page, okay? Every year we have that training for all the new employees. So everybody that's been working here, working in the past, can now talk to the new employees, new teammates, about the same verbiage and what we do. DDI Essentials for Leadership. All of our supervisors and managers have gone through that. It is held by Dave. It's a 4 half-day class, and it gets everybody on the same page again. Everybody, all the supervisors and managers at Schroeder have gone through that. I actually have something scheduled in July for the new supervisors to go through that training. Because why do we make people supervisors? Because they're good at the job that they do. So we promote them to be a supervisor, to manage people that do what you used to do. Right? That's not your job anymore. Your job is to manage the people. How do you promote somebody to manage people when they've never managed people before? How do you get them to talk and say, hey, are you having a good day? What is wrong? Why did you make so many mistakes? Is there something I can help you with? There's an empathy, a support, a share system that DDI goes over to make sure that you have all those tools that you need to be able to talk to employees like a leader. Emerging Leaders in Manufacturing, it's a 2-year program that I send all my frontline leaders to and supervisors for production support. It is a great program. It's really a peer network-based program where there's 6 or 7 people in a cohort, and every month they go to a different company, check out their processes, learn what they need to learn for that day, and then peer network amongst the 6 or 7 companies. One of the biggest things that they learn is we all have the same exact problems, right? We have on-time delivery issues, we have quality issues, we have material issues, we have computer problems, all of our problems are the same. What makes a difference in your building compared to your building are the people inside it. Do your people care more than your people? Do they talk to each other? Do they communicate? Do they know how to talk to each other instead of screaming and yelling and complaining? So if somebody comes up to me with a problem, I say, you better have a solution if you're going to tell me a problem. That is ingrained in everybody that works at Schroeder Industries now. Instead of saying, this sucks, okay, it sucks, but what are you going to do to fix it? Practical problem solving, manufacturing engineers go through that. CAUTA and TWI, we've also had some of our manufacturing engineers go through that. The second resource we use is the Navy pipeline. So 2 years ago, the Navy called us and said, you're a distributor to the Navy. We are 10 years behind creating the new Columbia-class submarines because the Virginia-class needs reconditioned and we really can't use them anymore. All of the suppliers who supply the Navy said, we can't find people. So this program, the Navy Pipeline Program, is geared to hire, onboard, retain employees forever. And what that is, one recruit is a one lifelong engaged productive teammate. That's the perfect scenario. We know that's not going to work, right? But we got to keep moving towards the goal. And if that is the goal and we fall short, we have to keep marching forward. So that is the whole pipeline of what the Navy helps us with. So since we were awarded to be the best practice model, we got all those tools and a coach from the Navy to come and help us with all that stuff. So in those tools, there's 3 main tools that we use. It's called the world-class first day. It takes initiative, action, and work. Something that Denise and I were talking about. We can sit up here and preach everything that we do, but it actually takes work to do it. Today's society, today's people don't like to work. They like to click a button and have a report and say, I'm done. This takes work. You get out of it what you put into it. So the whole aspect of leadership, world-class first day, is creating relationships with your people. If you get anything from this, one thing you could do very easily is call the new employee the night before they start, the supervisor, and say, hey, this is John. I'm going to be your new supervisor. I'll meet you at 6 o'clock at the front door. You can park right outside. If you have any questions, here's my phone number. We're looking forward to seeing you. It is that simple, and that doesn't take a lot of work. So, we do that. We give them an itinerary. The itinerary is to the right. It gives them an idea of what they're going to do the first day that they get there in the first week. When you join a new company and you walk in, you don't know who you're going to meet. You don't know what you're going to do for those days. Unknowns create fear. Fear creates anxiety. Anxiety creates a bad feeling in your body, right? So if they have something that they can look at and say, this is what I'm going to do the first week, they're going to meet the president, Gus Schroeder. They're going to meet me. They're going to meet supervisors. All the times and locations are there on the agenda. The second really important thing we do is a 5th metric scorecard. So what it is the first Thursday of the month, everybody goes into one room, senior managers, frontline supervisors, and everybody's name gets put up on a board. And we say, is the employee engaged, disengaged, or actively disengaged, okay? Before we do all this, you have to set expectations, clear expectations on what you want your teammates to do and what you want them to be. So on the right are my expectations: trust, respect, and credibility. Everything revolves around those 3 things in my company. So once you give them the expectations, it starts at 9 and it goes till whenever. The first time we did this, it took about 6 hours. That's time that we're giving to the employees, right? It's not a pizza party. It's not donuts. We actually care about these people, and we care about if they like to come to work or not. If somebody is disengaged, you talk to them, you sit them down, and within the 5th metric scorecard is one-on-ones, scheduled one-on-ones, not just passing by somebody and say, hey, how you doing? No, a one-on-one is sitting down, scheduled in your calendar. The first one-on-one I do is, where do you live? What's your wife's or husband's name? What do they do? Do you have pets? What's your favorite aspect of work? What don't you like about work? What can we do to make it better here? Right? So that's the first one-on-one. And then every other month I have a one-on-one, and we make sure that everybody is getting what they need. People's needs change as they change. A person coming in for the first day may want to get paid and paid and paid. If they get married 3 years later, they may be making enough. Maybe they want some more PTO. Everybody's needs changes. Realistic job preview is the last one that we do. If you go to Schroeder Industries on Google and type in realistic job preview, it's an actual video of what we do. There's some action items throughout it. So our goal is to say 100 people look at the video, 50 people will go on to the next step, 25 will go to the next step, and out of 100 people, we'll have 10 people that actually want to work at Schroeder Industries. Okay, you can take a look at that on the side. So what did we learn? We need to adapt to people's needs. We all have something going on in our lives. If somebody's having a bad day, go ask them why, because we care about our people, right? So what's not important today may be important later. It takes everyone marching the same beat of the drum, consistency, doing the same thing every day to get your guys to understand exactly what you do. Our forecast this year was 5 new teammates. We already hired 9. We need 6 more. So we are growing. These tools through Catalyst and Navy Pipeline, it keeps us up to date. It keeps us driving forward. It's discouraging when you hire somebody and then they quit 3 days later. But you just keep marching forward. You set the example, you be positive, and you basically never stop. So in conclusion, as we navigate through the complexities of a changing society, we must be prepared and push forward as one cohesive team. Preparing your team to adapt and change as difficulties arise is the path to success. So thank you very much. I went over a little bit. I'm sorry.
Thank you, Don.
Thank you.
That was so good. You know, he mentioned fear. It creates fear when they don't know. And what does fear create? Runners. They're running at the first break or lunch hour. Heard from an HR manager in Virginia. You know what she does? If someone's never had a full-time job in manufacturing, the first week they only do a 3-day work week. The second week they do 4. It's not till the third week where they actually have 5 full days because they're hiring so many people that have never worked full time even in manufacturing. And we got to get better at onboarding on Friday because everybody's in a good mood. So I'm really excited for the next 2 ladies. They're going to kind of tag team on us. I'm going to introduce both of them and have them come up. They're going to be talking about what they do at American Axle. And I've had the very absolute pleasure of working with Peggy for several years now. Really, Peggy, when you first came there, I love it, and I'm so excited she's now going to share the success there. So Peggy McGee is the manager learning programs at American Axle and Manufacturing, and she leads their learning program development. And they're really, I don't know if you're familiar with them, but they are a leading global Tier 1 automotive and mobility supplier. American Axle designs, engineers, and manufactures driveline and metal forming technologies to support electric, hybrid, and internal combustion vehicles. They're headquartered in Detroit with over 80 facilities in 18 countries. And they bring the future faster for a safer and more sustainable tomorrow. She's worked in learning and development for more than 25 years, including instructional design, knowledge transfer, curriculum development, and leadership development. She holds both a master's and PhD degrees in communication and instructional design and is accomplished at applying those skills to both technical and non-technical development programs. She also, for ATD, is a certified professional in talent development and has maintained this credential for over 15 years. And with her, can I go ahead and read Eliza? Oh, great. Eliza Wiseman is an HR at one of their locations, actually, in AAM. She has worked in human resources for over 2 years, including training, development initiatives, talent acquisition, and onboarding. Included in these responsibilities, she also co-leads POW-HER. Did I say it right? I love this, POW-HER, at her location and regional area. And that's actually a resource group within American Axle for women. She holds a bachelor's degree in human resource development and currently working towards a master's degree in organizational leadership at Oakland University. Help me welcome these ladies.
Thank you, Denise. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. I love how Denise described AAM, so I will skip over this slide with the exception of saying that I think of AAM as making all of the car parts that deliver power to the wheels to make the wheels go in any weather, in any road condition. And a new initiative for AAM is really building some of those electrified components that help deliver power to those vehicles. We have, oh wait, I'm going backwards, I'm sorry. We have a very large global footprint, and in my role as lead for learning and development, we support, it's my and my team's job to support all of these individuals across the organization. Our focus is on developing individuals both within their current role and to help them be ready for the next role, whatever that might look like. Our goal is to make sure that we are developing talent and really reflecting a bit on the why of what we're doing. We're trying to basically get a return on our investment because we know that developing our talent, whether it's within role or for the next role, means that we are then also upping our chances of retaining that talent. And the big why behind talent retention is really the costs associated with those departures. When people leave and take that knowledge with them, then it just is an incredible burden on our organization. And we know the average time to fill positions is growing because talent pools are decreasing across the organizations. And I am very inspired by all of the ideas and thoughts that I've had over the last couple of days just by interacting with all of you. And we also know that it takes a lot of time in terms of calendar days to get people up and running as they join our organization. So my job with AAM is to really support the Level Up program. Our goal is to ensure that every associate within the organization, all 20,000 associates across the globe, have a development plan in place. We work with the HR partners and the talent partners within region to ensure that these development plans are in place and that they're quality plans that people are taking action on supporting. Our development plans, we ask them to be in the 70-20-10 model where 70% of development takes place just by living your life, doing your job, learning each day as you grow, and then being intentional about that reflection. 20% of your development activity comes from direct feedback from your peers and your managers on how you're showing up and where you might improve, what you're doing well. And then 10% of our development plans, we like that to be formal classroom experiences, and Eliza will talk a little bit too about that. So while my job is to support all of the things, all of the activities that happen within development, at the heart of our organization, we are a manufacturing company, which is why when Denise approached me to speak today, I thought, well, I can talk about us at the corporate level, but Eliza is really where the rubber hits the road. So I'm going to let her talk about her experience in developing her associates at her plant.
Thanks, Becky. Hi, everyone. I'm Eliza. Thank you for having me. So I'll be discussing my facility's PFK program. So our Pay for Knowledge program, also known as PFK, has 6 different class levels an associate can reach. Classes 3, 5, and leader are levels that need to be tested into. Associates are not required to test into the next class levels, but it is always encouraged. For example, an associate could have been working for 6 years, but they can choose to stay at a class 4 if they do not want to test into a class 5. PFKs are used to encourage associates to advance not only their pay, but also their knowledge. So to dive in a little deeper into these class levels, Class 1 is where every new associate begins. Class 2 is the associate's 1-year anniversary. During this time, they are titled a Class 2 and their hourly pay increases. Class 3 is the first level that requires the associate to complete testing. If the associate passes the requirements, they are now titled a Class 3 and their pay increases once again. Class 4 is another automatic increase in both the associate's pay and class level title. and a Class 5 is the second level that requires testing. This class level contains slightly more difficult requirements than a Class 3. Once passed, the same results occur as previous levels by increasing their wage and class title. Last but not least, we have a class leader, which is the sixth and final class level an associate can reach. This class also requires more testing, but only rewarded to one associate per shift per team, meaning each position at my location can only have one leader on each shift for each team. This leader is considered the expert in their position for their shift. They are also the individuals that will train newly hired associates that are assigned to that team. So for our program components, each PFK level has written tests, a demonstration checklist, and online classes. These online classes can all be accessed through Workday. As Peggy mentioned earlier, we like to follow the 70-20-10 model. This structure helps us to do just that. So here's an example showing the difference between a heavy press operator's requirements for a Class 3 versus a Class 5. As you can see, there is a difference in the amount of material required to complete each one. Each testing class has a higher difficulty and quantity of material. The item that is highlighted in the Class 3 requirements sheet is a 5S overview course with Workday in parentheses next to it. Each online course will have Workday labeled next to it. As I mentioned earlier, Workday is how all of the online courses are accessed through. These classes translate to tooling used courses. On the right-hand side here, you'll see an example of heavy press operator's Class 3 demonstration checklist. This checklist requires associates to physically perform a task in front of their leader. Their leader then grades them on whether or not they can complete the designated task by checking the pass or fail box. So here we'll discuss an example of a development path. So here's an example of Samantha, her class level journey. She was hired in 2019, automatically becoming a Class 1. The following year, Samantha automatically moved up to a Class 2 in 2020. This came with a pay increase as well. And in 2021, this was the first year Samantha was required to test in the next class level. She completed a demonstration checklist, written tests, and online courses, earning herself a Class 3 title and a pay increase. By 2022, Samantha was automatically advanced to a Class 4 because she had completed the previous year's PFK testing requirements, once again earning a pay increase to go along with her new class title. In 2023, this is the second year PFK testing was required for Samantha. She was promoted to a Class 5 after finishing all of the PFK testing and coursework. As you may have picked up by now, Samantha once again earned a new Class 5 title and pay rate increase. So now in 2024, she is on track to become a class leader, which is the sixth and final class level an associate can reach. Samantha can complete her PFK testing and become a team lead once the opportunity arises. Again, this class level can only be rewarded to one associate per shift per team. Once this happens, she'll be considered her team's expert with a new class title and pay rate, as she will now grade future demonstration checklists that come her way for other developing team members. Here's another example. This is Richard. He has a path that differs from Samantha. He was hired in 2021, automatically becoming a Class 1 from day one. The following year, in 2022, like most associates, he was promoted to a Class 2 title with a pay increase automatically. But in 2023, Richard has the opportunity to complete his PFK testing to increase to a Class 3 title. He decides he's happy with his current class title and pay and chooses not to complete any PFK testing. Richard does have the option to rejoin this development path at any time and continue to grow at any point in time. So for our impact at my facility, our PFK program has made a substantial one. According to our data as shown, more than 50% of our associates have progressed to a Class 5 and a class leader. Because there is nothing prohibiting our associates from starting at a Class 1 and reaching a Class 5. This eliminates the tier factor for development. Participants say that they like knowing what to expect and having a clear pathway for growth. Classes are easy to find, with Workday being the bridge to Tooling U's material, and Tooling U being so user-friendly. And of course, our associates say they enjoy progressing at their own speed because it takes away the pressure of having to keep up with others and allows them to focus on mastering the material thoroughly. This self-paced approach lets them build confidence in their skills and knowledge, making the learning experience more enjoyable and more effective. There we go. So a couple of key takeaways overall. Team members have the opportunity to be intentional about their own development. The PFK program is strong and seamlessly integrated through our HRIS system, in our case, Workday. Most importantly, career growth is visible, clear, and attainable. This program allows our associates to take control of their own professional journeys and achieve their full potential. And if anyone would like to discuss anything further afterwards, feel free to come and approach me. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Eliza and Peggy. So excited, and we actually do have some time, I think, for a few questions to out in the audience. Just appreciate that. You're actually going to hear from John Hinman this afternoon, and he is kind of who Matt was speaking to earlier this morning, who helps develop world-class programs, because you've got to keep it in front of them. You got to use it in the interview, first day, 30 days, 6 months, a year, 2 years. You just got to keep it in front of it, because remember yesterday I said, what are they? They're gamers. They're looking for all the extra lives, ammunition, and golden pineapple. But when they get a new game, what do? They go online and look for the cheat sheet. That was a cheat sheet. You give them the cheat sheet to succeed. So that's what we have to create. You got to set them up from success from day one, and you guys do it. So do we have questions in the audience? Right here, fantastic.
Yes, good morning. I actually have two questions. First, I want to say great presentation from you all, so thank you for your time. The first one is for John. You spoke about the scorecard, the disengaged and the actively disengaged. So just from my understanding, so is your disengaged employees the ones that are sort of going through the motion, sort of emotionally or mentally checked out, but they're doing what needs to be done, and they're aiding to the gate employees, and your active disengaged, are those the ones that are more verbal, or the ones that are kind of bringing other team members down because they're more verbal about their displeasure about the work or the conditions, et cetera?
Yep. So we use engaged, disengaged, actively disengaged. When we presented it to the entire company, we used forward, neutral, and reverse, because disengaged or actively disengaged sounds bad, even though it's not a, you know, it's not a skills-based, it is engaged in the company. So engaged is helping everybody move forward, being positive, and doing what you're supposed to do by helping others. Disengaged is you come in, you do your job, and you go home, right? There's a lot of people that are disengaged, but how do we get those into the engaged? So disengaged is not bad, and that's why we use forward, neutral, and reverse, because disengaged does sound bad. If you tell somebody they're disengaged and they're not, they're going to say, I'll show you disengaged, right? So you don't want to do that, right? And actively disengaged is somebody who is verbally, I'm not doing that, this place sucks, I can go get a job tomorrow. You got to either turn them over extremely quickly, or they're going to have to leave very quickly, because that is like a cancer, and it spreads, and then others start, and just put an end to that extremely quickly.
Great.
Thank
you so much. Right here?
Thanks. So that, again, so many great points in this that, yeah, taking lots of pictures, lots of notes. Eliza, I have a question for you. So you almost made it sound really easy to go from one level to the next, and then I'm wondering about having too many of those leaders that get through 5 without having more than one on. Your company's probably obviously bigger than ours. But my question is, when you go from one level to the next, you've got a year in between there. How many and what classes are they taking? I mean, obviously if there's a year, there's a lot of classes in there, and you know, Tooling U has over 600 of them. Mm-hmm. So do you break those down by position and what you want them to take? And what happens if they're done, in 6 months? They just go home and take all those classes.
So we actually have them do it at the facility themselves. So let's say we have a third shift high-low driver. and I'm in the office from typically 7 a.m. to 3:30, I'll have that high-low driver stay over, and they get paid their overtime and everything. That way, if they don't have computer access at home, then they have the ability and the opportunity to do it at the facility themselves. Also, yes, our material is very vast, but it does go by different teams. So our high-low drivers will be taking different tests and different course material classes rather than our saw operators, because they're learning different functions of our facility overall. There is a lot of, and we're still growing our program. It's never going to stop, because with Tooling U coming out with more courses, then we want to update it and keep it as up to date as we can. The course material does pertain to what that specific associate, their position does, or if they are looking to become, a high-low driver wants to become our facilities maintenance person, then we'll put them on that path instead. Or if they want to do both, just in case, they can. So that way they're prepared to move up a class level.
Great, thank you. And we are out of time, but I want to encourage you to catch this great panel either during lunch or afterwards. Definitely ask them the questions, connect with them. You can connect with them in the app. There is a way to connect with them so that you can definitely ask additional questions. So again, can you help me just thank this wonderful panel?